Ladies and gentlemen, weapons. Oh boy,
Weapons of mass destruction.
it's the weapons of mass destruction, the WMDs of the Government Secrets Podcast, episode 8. I get a new sound effect.
This one, I like how they're kind of like snowflakes. Each intro is slightly different. That one kind of morphed into like a dying cat at the end. Like the guns were trained on cats.
I love doing it because I love hearing specifically your interpretation of it. That was sort of like an air raid siren was what I was trying to do, but you heard dying cats.
I heard dying cats. Then again, that's just what I'm hearing just in reality now all the time. I hear dying cats, so I don't know.
When you wake up in the middle of the night, you hear a dying cat.
Could be a me thing. So the story I had was, and I like to switch it up a little. This one starts out not in America. The newish labor leader in the UK. I think he's been in that position since around June. And in order to do that, they had to basically force out Jeremy Corbyn because Jeremy Corbyn was equivalent to the Bernie Sanders threat. He was a threat to the establishment, threat to the corporatocracy. And they did that. Here they used the good old McCarthyism against Bernie Sanders. And in the UK, they used the anti-Semitism because, why not just add a little flavor to McCarthyism, So they used that on Jeremy Corbyn, which was, of course, and this is coming from a Jew, complete horseshit. Right. They basically, because he believes Palestinians should not be shot for standing around. He is apparently anti-Semitic. I was unaware that's how that's defined. So they
real quick to interject. That would mean then all this organization, I believe called Break the Silence or Breaking the Silence, forget, of ex-Israeli soldiers who have come out to say it's awful how we're treating the Palestinians. We've all been brainwashed. So then that would make that organization of ex-Israeli soldiers anti-Semitic.
Oh, absolutely. Jesus. They are founding members of anti-Semitism. I mean, they are white supremacist Nazis. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's this completely ridiculous thing. And actually, I'm going to get to the point here in a minute, but one of the internally inside the Labor Party, much like with the Democratic Party here, texts ultimately were leaked, emails and texts showing that internally they were trying to undermine Jeremy Corbyn when he was Labor leader. They were trying to make sure he didn't become prime minister, meaning his own party wanted him to lose because he was not a corporatist. He was.
Sounds familiar. Has that happened anywhere else? Has anyone else done that?
Why does that sound familiar? Why is that?
It's like. Sounds, I don't know, the last two Democratic primaries, I can't put my finger on it. The Podesta emails, like literally, did they just copy and paste the Podesta emails and just replace Bernie with Jeremy Corbyn? Is that
it's good they're learning from us, It's nice that we can give back after all these years to our UK brethren. So they forced out Jeremy Corbyn. They now have this new guy named Sir Keir Starmer, which is far too many R's for a name.
That's not a real.
It's incredibly difficult to say if you are Sean Connery. Keir Starmer. But
yes, Mrs. Party.
So Keir Starmer is one of his little secrets that is, I guess, fairly public. It's not that secret, but I don't think he likes talking about it. Is that he's a member of the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission. Along with they're still around, but along with the Powell memo, they in the 70s created the kind of think tank, the thesis idea, the mission statement for undermining democracy in the U.S. and return and other countries as well, Japan, UK, a few others, and returning it to kind of an oligarchy, a rule by a tiny elite few. And the Trilateral Commission, founded in 1973 by, I believe, David Rockefeller, who at the time was also the head of Chase Manhattan Bank. And they founded the Trilateral Commission, which they'd called a discussion group, which I love that term.
Well, yeah, and a clan rally is like a pajama party. It's really,
we just put these pajamas on wrong, and the holes were in this hole we're supposed to pee out of is over my face. I don't know.
whoops, every time we do a barbecue, a cross goes up in flames. Doinks, not again. Like,
Exactly. So they have their pajama party. This was a discussion group. And they put out a paper, which you can still read. It's been leaked online, called Crisis of Democracy, mid-1970s. And it basically said, oh no, our societies are being overrun by all of these people voting. And it's really fucking shit up. It's like they vote and then they literally get like a representative into Congress, and then that person literally feels some sort of need to do what those people wanted. And it's just made governing fucking hard because these people are getting what they want. And they're demanding things like transparency and legality and all these things.
gross.
It just makes my skin crawl. And so literally the paper said, like, here's what we need to do. And some of the ones that have always stuck with me is like, well, we need to go back to when the media would just repeat what the governing elite said. They wouldn't ask all these questions. And they, then give, ways that can be done. And sure enough, here we are. And now 90% of the media is owned by a few corporate conglomerates that can decide everything that's said. And basically, most of your mainstream media are stenographers for the State Department. So they've succeeded in that regard. Another step they said needed to be taken was to universities have become this bastion of leftist thought and progressive ideas, and kids are thinking their vote matters and shit like that. And so we need to purge all of these leftist and progressive professors and departments and things. And they succeeded in that as well. I mean, even just studying humanities has shrunk down to like a tiny, arts and humanities have shrunk to a tiny percentage of college students. And now most of them are getting business degrees. So those are two that stuck with me, but basically it was a how-to get the American empire along with other countries back to, an oligarchy, back to a ruling class that could easily decide what happens in the world. And Keir Starmer is one of the few members of parliament who is a member of the Trilateral Commission.
What a wacky coincidence that this discussion group of the 70s has basically fulfilled their promise 40 years later.
Yeah, and a lot of people, Noam Chomsky will also often point to the Trilateral Commission, which he, unlike me, was around and talking about it when it was happening. When it started. And the Powell memo is another one. Supreme Court Justice, I can't remember his first name, Powell, wrote a memo saying, we need to get back to commerce, deciding what is done in our society rather than all these fucking people with their democracy.
God Lord. I mean, it's literally like you read these things and you go, you see everything that's happening today and you go, these global elites have been mapping this shit out forever. I mean, like, it's unbelievable. Like you just feel like this is like we're in an ant farm. And like, again, when everybody's like, and I'm not saying don't vote. I'm always like vote. There's always especially local ballot measures and all those things are important.
Yeah. The down ballot stuff is much harder to rig. And
yeah. But you really go, oh, okay, cool. We're an ant farm that they're playing with. Like,
hey, ant farms are pretty fun until they all eat each other.
Right. Yeah. It was like, that's another thing that because they are so ramping us into a civil war. And they're ramping us into a civil war because they want to keep this is their whole MO. And they obviously, this document, the Trilateral Commission and the Powell document all talk about what's happening now, of keeping us divided, distracted, and afraid. Like if everybody woke up to the fact that this is actually class warfare that we're in,
yeah,
not a race war. I mean, yes, there's racism. I'm not discounting the racism, but this is class warfare. I mean, and
right. That is one of the greatest threats to capitalism, to the oligarchy, to the hegemony, all of it, is if we were to unite as, hey, we are all the people who are not millionaires, who are not billionaires, and we're all fighting for a common cause. That is one of the greatest threats to that system, to the exploitation we live under. And so as long as they can keep us divided, and, they can do it in a lot of different ways, but as long as they can keep us divided, then they can continue to govern easily without much threat of it.
Yep, that's what they're doing. I mean, that's like, they have such a fantastic machine in place. And, certain, like the Fox News cog is very good at keeping white America terrified. They're coming for you. They're coming for you. And now Trump is not even dog whistling anymore. He's just saying the blacks are coming to the white neighborhoods, arm up. And nobody.
I'm glad he's doing that. I was like, I didn't quite hear him. I wasn't sure. And then luckily he finally spelled it out. I was like, are we being racist? I can't hear you clearly enough. And he was like, yeah, fucking racist. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
There it is. Cool. I wasn't sure. It was a little vague. And this is, if these, and you and I have talked about this before on this show, but the Second Amendment people that took over the Capitol building or whatever it was, courthouse in Michigan, over a mask, like if they got that upset about what Edward Snowden revealed 7 years ago, I mean, that's the personal freedom they should be mad about, not having to wear a mask and wait 2 months to get a haircut. Like if they woke up to the fact that, Amazon and these billionaires are making hundreds of billions of dollars during a pandemic when everybody else is struggling to get by, then it would change their tune. And they have to it's become so clear. And they want us all mired down in the dirty little details, when if you step back, it's just very clear. If we all get together, it's over for them. If the 99% get together on any issue, it's over. People just will go whoop. They will just swallow up the Hamptons, and they will just go on. And there'll be 1 million people surrounding the Capitol building, or the CIA building, or Boeing or whatever, or any of Wall Street, and just go, no, it's over, man. You're done. It's lights out.
Yeah. And speaking of Snowden, I don't know if we can make this our next topic, is what happened with the NSA this week, the federal ruling that Snowden was completely vindicated. And granted, they're doing it a few years late because the NSA claims they've stopped that program. I'm sure they've got other ways of surveilling us, but this was one of the grandest government secrets to ever be revealed. Edward Snowden revealed, and he was trashed by the corporate media largely, and obviously trashed by our government. They're still persecuting him to this day. If he were to step foot out of Russia, they would fucking arrest him and torture him and all that shit. And here we are, federal appeals court this week said, NSA's bulk collection of your phone data was illegal. Absolutely.
That is so. I want to see. I want to bring. So, are we moving on to this segment then? Pretty much.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Government secrets. Segment number 2. Who let the dogs out? What? Who put the last in there? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, how's this for a government secret? Did you know there's 15 versions of Who Let the Dogs Out? Completely unconnected. They basically, it was like a sport. There's a great podcast. I don't remember what. I don't remember what it was. 99% Invisible or something. But yeah, it was 99% Invisible. But literally back before that came out, it became like a sports thing. Like sports players at college. There were certain colleges where they would stand in their huddle and they'd go, "Who let the dogs out?" And then separate DJs and musicians, one down in the fucking Caribbean, came out all simultaneously, disconnected, not working off of each other, but working off of that sports chant. And probably they hear people say it on the street after they see a sports player do it, come up with different versions of the song. And if you listen to this podcast episode, It's so bizarre because they're completely different, yet they all at some point are like, who let the dogs out? And you're like, how can there be 15 versions of the same fucking song that are not connected?
If I understand you correctly, you're saying that Who Let the Dogs Out is a psyop.
Yeah, it's MK Ultra. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. It turns out the CIA let the dogs out. I don't know if you knew that. They let the dogs out. Yeah.
Makes sense. Now it makes sense. Now I get it. So I'm gonna bring this the tweet that you're referring to up right here. On the multicast. There it is. So that's what Edward Snowden tweeted out 2 days ago. 7 years ago, as the news declared I was being charged as a criminal for speaking the truth, I never imagined that I would live to see our courts condemn the NSA's activities as unlawful and in the name of ruling credit of the
in the same ruling.
In the same ruling, credit me for exposing them. And this is the ACLU. He was responding to this tweet. Breaking: a federal appeals court just ruled that the NSA's bulk collection of Americans' phone records was illegal.
Boom.
I mean, when I first read this, and I even talked about 2 days ago, the ruling which confirms that we have what we've always known as a victory for our privacy rights. Talk about this was such a massive government secret and all these things about all of our privacy that has been eviscerated over the last, especially the 20 years really since 9/11, the Patriot Act. How do you see this playing out? Because what do you see the effects of this ruling?
Well, if you read the longer article, they say they basically claim there's no impact because the NSA stopped doing that in 2013 or something, and then they also stopped collecting phone data in 2015 or whatever. And I think it's largely horseshit. I mean, they may have stopped collecting because they realized that it was actually useless. It's useless to collect everyone's data. It's just too much fucking information. And so it is possible that they have stopped specifically that, but they're still monitoring people that they have no fucking right to monitor. They have no warrant to monitor them. The FISA court is a rubber stamp 99.9% of the time. They just let them monitor anyone. So they're still illegally monitoring people, but they might not be doing the mass millions of people surveillance, which is why they get to claim, hey, we stopped that program. We're cool now. So the article claims there's no fallout. I mean, nobody's going to get locked up for this.
No. And it's like the other thing too, what's also happened is a way that they can, legally claim that they're not doing it anymore is they've just farmed out this to Facebook and folks, and so then it's like, hey, a private company just needs data to help you buy the products you want to buy, which is part of it. But there's no way the NSA and the CIA are.
Listen, the way they entice you to agree to that is sometimes it's just too powerful. They're like, do you want to put cat ears on your photo? If so, you have to click yes. And I'm like, I gotta have the cat ears. I gotta have them. So
everybody see what you looked like 20 years from now. Oh, we just got facial recognition from 2 billion people. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that a Facebook thing that went viral? Like, see what you look like? It was like we've collected everyone's face.
We got everybody's face. I was like, wow.
I just got a new phone. And when you turn on the new iPhone, it's like, hey, we're going to set up face unlock and we'll just look at your face and unlock your phone. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But I couldn't find the button or whatever. So I could tell it was because it like shows you it's like reading your face. And I'm like ducking out of the way of my own phone. So I can be like, don't read my goddamn face.
It's bad enough they've got my thumbprint from this phone.
Did they make you do that or?
Yeah. They made you do the thumb phone thing from my. So now it's like the NSA can just put that on any. Oh, Graham Elwood was up in the book depository again.
We found your thumbprint inside the anus of a man who's been known to do horrible things. What? So, yeah,
here's a shell casing with Graham's thumbprint on it. Oh, well, that's weird.
Why was this shell casing that you own in this man's ass? Just listen.
I was thinking CIA, but you're just making I'm in some weird sex club. That's your scenario. Oh, here's a strap-on dildo with Graham's thumbprint. This is an odd pairing.
Listen, anyone can fall for the honeypot, Graham. Don't think you're immune.
Oh,
but so there's probably not much fallout. I did like though that Biden did an extensive 2-hour speech on this ruling and how horrible NSA's powers are and the unlimited surveillance. I did like that. That was pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, didn't he talk about he's going to pardon Snowden and Chelsea?
Yeah, pardon Snowden, pardon Chelsea. Yeah, he actually said he had them with him, and he brought him out from backstage. It was amazing. And they endorsed him. It was huge.
And then he sniffed Edward Snowden's hair, which was a little weird, but I don't care as long as they're all pardoned.
Speaking of hair, did you happen to flip on CNN today? Biden has dyed his hair and eyebrows bright blonde. It's fucking bizarre. He's like trying to become Trump. It's so fucking scary. And here's the thing. I looked up old photos of Biden. He was never blonde. It's not like, whereas Trump was blonde and now is gray with dyed blonde, Biden is now blonde, having been a brown-haired dude his whole life. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
What's he gonna get, like tattooed eyebrows next? Like what is he doing?
It's like, is that really his last hope of winning this thing, is just to try and look as much like Trump as possible?
And there's some idiot in his team going, this will get us a 7-point bump or something. And what, with a poll from a 90-year-old that watches CNN or a 93-year-old that watches Fox or whatever, you're like watching those two.
We have 3% of the population says they would absolutely vote for you if you just had like Hulk Hogan style doll hair on your head. Then that's what they said.
We just focus grouped it, and you're going to get a 9-point bump if you get a neck tattoo. So
the Trilateral Commission symbol.
Oh God, it's just like these weasels are in just every filthy connected. God. All right. Is there more we want to discuss with the good folks at the NSA and how they've become more of a non-for-profit that just does like worker co-ops now? They're not monitoring us.
Yeah, they quit monitoring. They actually just help out food, not bombs, mainly. That's all.
They do a lot of Habitat for Humanity stuff. And
they have vegetable recognition now, where you just hold a vegetable up and they know what it is, and they get it to everybody around the world. It's really nice of them. It's really cool.
No, I want all of our listeners and viewers to go to the NSA's farmers market. It's really cool. There's face painting. It's like stuff for the kids. It's really like they're not those bad guys anymore. You know what I mean? They're doing good work. They're really doing good work.
They just tried a little LSD and it all changed.
And then the CIA's joining them, like Gina Haspel's in a dunk tank. It's so fun. It's so fun.
Dung tank or dunk tank? Because if it's a dung tank, I'm cool with it.
Either one. It really depends on how they set it up and what the codes are, but it's like a state fair. So check that out. All right, let's go to government secret segment number 3. Wow, there was a horn in this one.
Oh, glad the horn showed up. One of these days, listen, folks, if you give enough super chat donations, we're going to get real sound effects.
Yes, we really need a lot of money for the real sound effects.
We get a trumpet player. Just be one sad guy sitting behind you with a trumpet.
We want to raise enough money to get an actual live trumpet player. Just to just, and then at the beginning of Government Secrets, he'll do the horse racing, and then Lee and I will get ready. It'll be fantastic.
Oh man, it's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. Government Secrets horn.
While Graham looks up the next topic, everybody should make sure to subscribe, and you should check out, I believe we're on all the podcast platforms now. We've decided to not be a secret podcast anymore, and we're on iTunes, I believe, Stitcher, Spotify, all those good places.
Yes, this is our 8th episode. So if you're just finding us now, go back and listen to the back catalog, and there's all these great ways to support the show that help the analytics. So liking it, subscribing it, downloading it, even if it's like, oh, it takes up a lot of hard drive space in my phone, just download it, listen to it, and then erase it or whatever. But all those numbers help And as we can grow the downloads and the listens and to this show, then we can, do more stuff with it.
And anything you can do, like play it for your mom while she's sleeping, that's another hit. Like that's another count for us. So just like leave it just next to her bed, quietly going. That'll help us a lot.
Like put it by there so they're sleeping, and then they have the phone, and then take like a selfie, like, and then send it to them later so they know you were watching them sleep, because it's not creepy at all.
Yeah.
And you got to watch if you have a roommate.
Especially a right-wing roommate. If you're a right-wing roommate, definitely do this.
Or if you have a Vote Any Blue Will Do roommate, you absolutely have to do this to them. You have to let them know you watch them when they're asleep, and you make them listen subconsciously.
Ha ha, motherfucker, you're going to start caring about people and you won't even know why. It'll be so deeply entrenched in your subconscious.
Vote third party. Vote third party. Vote third party.
Care about people that die from our bombs.
Yeah. Don't just lock yourself away in your liberal suburb. No. All right. So here's my government secret. I always like to, you know me, I like to do a historical seek.
Although I'm waiting for us to run out of those because, there's only so much history.
There is, and the United States government only did a handful of
the other thing is I know that historical ones will go from like how Malcolm X was killed down to like George Washington once wore shoes made by child laborers. Like it's gonna get more and more obscure because the big ones will be taken.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dig deep for just like all of these, like the man who really made Washington's wig. Like, yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk about, since we're obviously the first segment we talked a little bit about Trilateral Commission wanting to infiltrate labor unions and strikes and stuff like that. And we talk a lot about labor. You and I are both socialists, just like Jesus was. And I want to talk about, because we've said this a lot, and it's a recurring theme, but it makes sense, is how they, meaning those in power, the government specifically, have infiltrated movements. We've talked about they've infiltrated, the Black Panthers and the on both sides, the Black Panthers and the KKK. And I have no doubt they've infiltrated the Proud Boys, and they've infiltrated Black Lives Matter as they've done today. But I want to go into the history of that. And
the problem is when they infiltrate like the KKK and stuff like that, they tend to just be like, right on.
Yeah, the KKK is like, we're down, brother, and they're like, all right, you'll be happy to get locked up by us, but that's cool.
Like it was later leaked and proven that the FBI knew that some group, not necessarily a big one, but was planning on shooting occupiers in, I believe, Colorado, and they just didn't tell anyone and didn't do anything about it. I mean, they didn't end up shooting them, but they had a plan to like snipe occupiers. And the FBI was just like, yeah, it's all fine. That's cool.
Wow. God. Boy, we came across this dangerous thing. I'm sure they knew, like, a bunch of white nationalists are going to show up in Kenosha with AR-15s. Cool.
Yeah, you didn't think they knew that was coming? These are fucking idiots on trucks with Trump signs driving down the highway from 100 miles away. They're like, should we tell anyone? Nah.
100 not, and I'm sure they would, like, their websites and their Facebook pages were all like, we're gonna go square, make things right in Kenosha. Oh, and they just let that slide, just like,
well, it says they're gonna make things right. That sounds positive. I assume they'll hand out ice cream and such.
Maybe they're gonna do a bake sale.
Yeah.
Maybe they're gonna do, face paint and balloon animals and stuff like that. So here's my history of the Pinkerton Detective Agency. They're good folks. So this is just off of Wikipedia. They were a detective agency started by a Scotsman, Alan Pinkerton, in 1850, and currently it's a subsidiary of Securitas AB. So they're definitely today they're not getting any intelligence money at all. And they foiled a plot to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. And then I don't know, weren't around when he went to that play. But I want to focus on labor strikes of the 19th and early 20th century. So the late 18th, so after the Industrial Revolution hit in the late 1800s and into the early 1900s, there was a lot of big labor strikes. And it's some, we'll do this on future episodes, the government secrets of just like all the labor movements and how the entertainment, art and was very pro labor and all that stuff. So, but specifically, businessmen hired the Pinkerton agency to infiltrate unions, supply guards, keep strikers and suspected unionists out of factories, and recruit goon squads to intimidate workers. One such confrontation was the Homestead strike of 1892, in which Pinkerton agents were called on to reinforce the strike-breaking measures of industrialist Henry Clay Frick, acting on behalf of Andrew Carnegie. Boy, you hear all these great names: Rockefeller, Carnegie.
I know. And just like today, all these big names ultimately kind of whitewash their name by becoming philanthropists. So, Carnegie, that's where Carnegie Mellon University gets their name, right? Because he spent all the money on it and everything. And they all succeeded in this. I mean, the fucking Koch brothers are called philanthropists. And Pierre Omidyar, I looked at his Wikipedia today. He owns the billionaire that owns The Intercept. He's called a philanthropist.
Yeah, the guy that bought The Intercept, and that's when The Intercept started nosediving into neoliberal town.
We actually never. Well, hold on, but we should mention this because I forgot back with the Snowden files. 90% of the Snowden files we've mentioned on a previous show, I think, have never been released, and they're owned basically by The Intercept, and they give no reason. They like the closest they came to a reason is like, oh, we don't have the money to keep researching this stuff or whatever. So 90% of what Snowden could be revealing about our government is just owned by The Intercept and basically been captured. And as far as I know, nobody will ever find out.
Philanthropy.
But
that's what all these guys did. Rockefeller, Carnegie, they built hospitals and museums and schools and all this crap to whitewash all the evil crap that they did. And so this is the Homestead strike of 1892. So the industrialist Henry Clay was acting on behalf of Andrew Carnegie. The ensuing battle between Pinkerton agents and striking workers led to the deaths of 3 Pinkerton agents and 9 steel workers. The Pinkertons were also used as guards in coal, iron, and lumber disputes in Illinois, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, as well as the Great Railroad Strike of 1877 and the Battle of Blair Mountain in 1921. They're now owned by the Swedish security company Securitas AB.
Was Blair Mountain, one of them was the one where literally U.S. military aircraft drops bombs on the on the laborers. I think it's the only time the American military has ever dropped bombs on their own people.
They did. They bombed in Philadelphia too. They blew up.
Well, the move bombing, right?
Yeah. So this was, I think you're right. Let's talk about this one. The battle. So this is the Battle of Blair Mountain, was the largest labor uprising in United States history. Weird. I never studied that in school.
Isn't it funny? I don't recall this getting much of a mention from Mrs. Metcalf.
When I was a kid in the 80s and I just watched the news every day, how Reagan was going to make America better by crushing the air traffic controllers union, we weren't studying this. Weird.
You're going to get a good lesson from the history teacher when they just had a framed photo of whichever president was in office in the room.
Yeah, he just
presidency. Yay.
Great. You respect the lies of America. So the largest armed uprising since the American Civil War. The conflict occurred in Logan County, West Virginia, as part of the Coal Wars, a series of early 20th century labor disputes. No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. She's going to kind of, those labor disputes were wrong. The Pinkertons are good people or whatever. No. Andrew Carnegie. Dissident. Here's what I have on Andrew Carnegie, a philanthropist gentleman who only helped the world. Graham Elwood is a socialist communist.
Carnegie Mellon, known for giving workers reach-arounds.
Graham Elwood's thumbprint was on a dildo. What? So it was part of the Coal Wars. It was a bunch of coal labor disputes in the early 20th century in Appalachia. Up to 100 people were killed and many more arrested. The United Mine Workers saw major declines in membership, but the long-term publicity led some improvements in working condition.
And another fact about this that people should realize is when they say 100 people were killed, and it hardly, you know, in the mainstream media back then, it hardly got any coverage, and nowadays it hardly gets taught. These are the type of people that killing them doesn't really matter, which is where the term Black Lives Matter comes from. Is like Black lives are killed and people don't act like it's a big deal. Now, this, I'm sure in that 100 there probably were some Black people, but mostly in those mines was immigrants, because they would get off the boat in Ellis Island and someone would walk up and say, listen, you're new here, you have no money, you're going to be destitute. Would you like a good job that'll pay you every day and give you credit to the company store, and we give you a house? And the person's like, sure. So these people that didn't speak English often from, various countries, just largely immigrants, would go work in these mines. And so when 100 of those die, those are the okay kind of people to die. Like, killing them is not like killing, a white landowning male or something.
Right. It would never be in the ground in a labor fight, and this has always been, and even today, it doesn't matter, if poor people get killed for whatever reason. It just like, oh, sorry. I mean, we have tent cities, but so this is what specifically happened on the 5 days in late August or early September 1921. Some 10,000 armed coal miners confronted 3,000 lawmen and strikebreakers called the Logan Defenders, who were backed by coal mine operators during the miners' attempt to unionize the Southwest Virginia coal fields when tensions rose between workers and mine men. 10,000 coal miners picked up guns and said, we want to be a union. And this is what happened. The battle ended after approximately 1 million rounds were fired, and the United States Army, represented by the West Virginia National Guard, intervened by presidential order. I mean,
so our own army fought our own citizens.
Yes. And this is the headline I'm bringing up. This is aviators will drop bombs on marchers. Do you see that?
This must have been back when occasionally the media would report on American citizens being harmed.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, you see this map here. This is a newspaper from 1921 that shows how the fighting happened. This is a war on American soil. This is how they treated labor unions, and this is and of course, you'll notice the familiar thing as everybody's like looking to arm up on either side in this country. Just be careful, because look at how the police are reacting today, right? It's always a peaceful protest, and then the cops had no choice. Like, we've been hearing this just for since May, since the George Floyd protest. I mean, we always hear this, but it's since there's way more protests these last 3-4 months. That's how it always, peaceful protest. And then the cops had no choice. No, the cops want you. They're pushing you to react. So that gives them the justification to unload on you. And
yeah,
the American government look, they did this in 1921. So what do you think they're going to do today, now that they have the Black Hawk helicopters and the police departments have militarized police, and we've had cops and federal agents scoop people up in unmarked vans? I mean, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, and so there's a long and impressive history of workers standing up against incredibly, difficult odds against them. The people with the larger gun power and more powerful and richer and everything, and these workers have stood up anyway against those forces, which is incredibly impressive and brave, and many times they were massacred. To give a little promo for Eleanor Goldfield's new film, she went to West Virginia and talked to people about the long history of the labor fight against against the mining companies, but also she talked a lot about, the movie talks a lot about fracking and what fracking has done to West Virginia, and mountaintop removal has done to West Virginia. And it's an incredible both historical film and happening today. You know, what's going on today is truly incredible. These companies, one of the things that blew me away is these companies, I don't know when they first decided this, when they first tried this, but they pushed forward the idea that when you buy a land, when you buy property, you only own the surface level. You don't own, quote unquote, the mineral rights, what's beneath you. Because all these gas companies realized that people own land, that they wanted the oil from underneath. And so they needed to change the law. They needed to come up with a new law that said, yeah, when you buy your house, yeah, you've had your house and you've lived there for 40 years. It doesn't matter. You only bought the surface. You didn't buy beneath. And so literally they would just come into these areas and say, oh, we bought the mineral rights. And they dig down and destroy these areas, you know, turn their wells to fucking flammable liquids and all kinds of crap, and just destroy these areas because they claimed, oh, well, we own everything beneath you. I mean, it truly is just horrific. Anyway, the movie, but as is the title, it does give you some hope. The movie's called Hard Road of Hope, and it's at hardroadofhope.com, and it's won a bunch of awards. People should check it out.
Well, yeah, and it's like that movie touches on a lot of things that I mean, like you look at West Virginia today, and I'm sure that movie touches on that a lot. I mean, they have 50% unemployment. They have all these contaminated water because of what you just talked about. You have, I mean, Paula Jean Swearengin, when she ran in 2018, I mean, there's an interview with her mom. I forget that documentary that showed AOC and Amy Villela and everybody running. And her mom, Paula Jean's mom, goes, she's like, I'm terrified, man. There's a lot of bodies up in those mountains. These coal companies don't play around. And this is their history of just like people disappearing or having an accident up in the mountain because they went against the coal. And I mean, this is the thing that really, you know, there's no bold leader out there to, I think it could be somebody. I could have been Bernie. Obviously he quit. I would love to see, I think Jesse Ventura could do this, but he doesn't want to. But there's somebody out there that could unify and get, you know, the working class whites and, you know, the, you know, many of whom are conservative or maybe they're Trump supporters or not, but like not the like the wingnut Trump culty people. I don't know if you ever get them to switch their brains, but there's a lot of people out there that if you really came in with a very serious pro-labor movement, which the Democratic Party hasn't done in 80 years, you could unify this country. You could get people together, but they can't have, I mean, the ruling class, the 1%, they can't have that.
Well, this may be a good segue to talk about the Movement for a People's Party that just had a little convention online, which everyone can still watch, even though it's not live anymore. Cornel West is getting tired. He's been on for the past 48 hours. And
five-day long marathon.
Yeah. But you can still watch the convention. It's up on YouTube, peoplesparty.org. And anyway, I thought some highlights were Graham Elwood and Cornel West and Chris Hedges and Jesse Ventura and Eleanor Goldfield.
And you, I mean, like all of us, it was the coolest thing to see that. I mean, you know, you got Marianne Williamson saying, I'm going to vote for Biden or whatever. Okay, fine. But like,
you're going to have a little of that. You're going to have a little of that.
That's fine. Whatever. Like, I don't think that undermines what they're doing, but that's like all the people involved in that. Nina Turner was there. I mean, it was just impressive. I
thought Jimmy Dore really choked. I mean, he couldn't, you know, when push came to shove and the time clock's running down, he didn't have it. But
yeah, he doesn't have his talking points down. He doesn't have a clear message.
No, Jimmy was great, but yeah, everyone should check it out.
Yeah, it's cool, and I agree. Like the People's Party, and you know, some people are critical of them, and some of the criticisms are legit. But we need something like that. We need, and I don't know how it's going to get done. I don't know how, because, and it's got to stop trying to like convert the vote any blue will do crowd, because they're just as nuts, almost as nuts. But as the MAGA hat people. So you got to actually come up with a thing that goes after the independents and the 100 million people that don't vote because they feel like there's no choice. They're not represented and nobody cares about them. You know, everybody likes to voter shame that block as, oh, they're lazy and apathetic. And it's like, no, you say most the people who say that are usually college educated liberals in nice cities with white collar jobs. And they're like, no, these working class people are like, doesn't matter. I voted for this guy, I got screwed over. I voted for that person in the other party, I got screwed over. So who cares? Nobody cares about me. And I think that's what this really needs to be.
A lot of Trump voters have been duped into thinking he's that guy, which,
Sure.
you know, there was a massive void of someone to speak to those class issues. And Trump has done it. He's lying his face off,
Sure.
but he has
there's no counter narrative to it. That's the thing. There's no real populist progressive. And like you say, he filled that void, and then there's nobody to go, actually, no, he's full of shit. He's a billionaire. Here's a real populist workers message and with actual plans rather than just, I'm going to make America great. Everything I do is great, 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 great. We did it. We won. We're number one. But like policies, it was Bernie, but he just loves letting the Democratic Party cheat him and then quitting.
Hey, you know, I like, you know, watching bugs flutter out my window, and that's my thing. His thing is watching the Democratic Party cheat him. So, you know.
Yeah, we shouldn't judge. It's just hobby.
It's a hobby. Well, everyone needs a hobby. I mean, in these crazy times, you need something that makes you feel good inside. His is being railroaded by the Democratic establishment.
Yeah, you watch birds. I surf. He's like, oh, I love watching myself get railroaded, and then I say nothing. I love doing that. Yeah. So moving for a people's party. So that's and
it takes a lot of years to get good at. I mean, it took him a long time to get really good at it. So
to start a movement, get all these people rallied, and then go, I got to take off.
Go, I'm out.
Good luck. You guys figure this out. I gotta run.
Listen, good luck with that. Things are getting a little spicy. I gotta go.
I gotta go write some tweets. So, all right, I guess that's the final segment here. There's that, and we rolled it into, like Lee said, go to peoplesparty.org and get involved. Many of you already are, but get involved. So Lee, I think that's our show, unless there's anything else.
No, man, sounds good. Thanks for being here, even though I was the one who didn't show up, but thank you. Everybody can check out my stuff at leecamp.com. I've started doing a lot more web exclusive videos on a lot of breaking news, and that's all at leecamp.com. And my free comedy special, which you can watch right when you're done watching Graham, is like I said, free at leecamp.com.
Yes. And then of course, if you're just listening to this podcast, please go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Graham Elwood. And of course, GrahamElwood.com. You can follow all my social media. I'm revamping my store, GrahamElwood.com, but there's a lot of great ways to support what I'm doing. And if you just go to GrahamElwood.com. So that's it. Gov Seeks episode 8. Lock it down. Put it in the books.
Meow, meow, meow.
Cats with guns. That's what the show's all about. All right, dude. Well, thanks for taking time today, and we'll talk soon.
See you soon, man.
All right, man. Hey, everyone. Great ways to support the show are go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood, where you get bonus content for as little as $2 a month, or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. That's the future. Also, GrahamElwood.com, where all my merchandise is on sale and ships exclusively with the United States Post Office. Like my Vigilante Volume 2, The Dark Knight. We only made 50 of them. They're going fast. Go to GrahamElwood.com to support the show. I'm on Venmo and PayPal, P.O. Box, all of that, GrahamElwood.com.